And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody had an outstanding weekend. We got a little afternoon hockey coming your way today. Looking forward to that. I don't know how many other people like this on Monday at 1 o'clock, but for my purposes, it's awesome. Looking forward to it coming up.
Yeah. Why is that happening again? We figured that out yet?
I believe from everything I hear, and I haven't really been told this by anyone, it's just I've heard other people talk about this. I guess in the aftermath of the Olympics, they want to put some games on in Europe in prime time.
Okay. Yep.
There are a lot of Swedes in this game. So,
yep.
There you go.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, you got Seider, who plays for Germany. You got Raymond and Forsberg, obviously, who play for Sweden. Yossi for Switzerland. So that's the one game today that's in prime time in Europe.
Just everything just catering to Europe, man. Or the rest of the world. We'll send our NFL teams everywhere. We'll we'll start playing hockey games at 8 a.m. so they can have a nice matinee in Italy,
International game in Antarctica coming up next.
Be fun. When is that? I'm sure Goodell's already scheming.
Where can we play where it's somewhat warm? What time of year is it warmest in Antarctica? Yeah, so looking forward to that today. Coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll get into the Predators throughout the show today. A lot of things going on this week on the Nashville Predators front, so we will get into that. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Oh, good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Doing just fine, thanks. Nice weekend with the fam. Beautiful weather. Went to the Frist. Did some art stuff.
Nice.
It was good. Yeah, how about that? Outdoor game in the Arctic somewhere, huh?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I might be down for that.
Let's do that.
North Pole. Could get a nice theme. Christmas theme up there, maybe.
Yeah.
Or penguin theme, perhaps down south.
Sure.
Just gotta, I was gonna say, you gotta do it in the summer so then you can play at any time. It'll be light out.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. Pittsburgh. Yeah. We could get Pittsburgh into Antarctica. That's a natural penguin crossover there.
Oh, there we go.
A little crossover. Yeah. I think we may have figured something out here.
All right.
It's good stuff.
Sounds fun.
Cory Curtis will be with us later in the program for his weekly visit. Looking forward to that. We will get into the Predators. Not only a big game today, but the NHL trade deadline is this week. It's Friday. So a lot of stuff going on the Predators front this week. We'll get into that throughout the show. We will get into some reaction from the NFL Combine over the weekend a little bit later in the program as well. Joe, we begin on the basketball front. Not a great weekend on the men's side for Vanderbilt or Tennessee. Let's start on the Vanderbilt front. They lose 91-77 to Kentucky on the road. They were down 46-31 at halftime. Just did not go well for the Commodores in the first half. They've now lost 3 of their last 4. So that's obviously not good, not where you want to be heading into the final part of the season here. What did you make of Vanderbilt's performance and their recent trend here towards the end of the season?
Yeah, and they kind of did this last year too. They didn't play they played great early and then didn't play as well late. That's not what you want to do. And they made the tournament last year, so that's a change from Jerry Stackhouse. Of course, the Stackhouse era was terrible starts, lose games you can't possibly lose. You get to conference season, it's like, well, this team's not going anywhere. And then by this time of year, Stackhouse had a couple teams that they didn't make the tournament, but I was like, that team could make a serious run the way they're playing out, with Pippen and those guys. It's 2 years, and I do think that the depth is a little bit of a thing with Vanderbilt. But yeah, it's a little bit alarming that they're playing this poorly, and some of it is Kentucky, desperate team, had a terrible loss last weekend at Auburn, shooting the lights out. Colin Chandler. But still, Vanderbilt's energy and just attention to detail on defense was not good. And, Duke Miles is a big – I still think that's going to end up being good for them. But, there was some defensive stuff with that backcourt off the ball that was pretty bad in that game. So they got to kind of go back to the drawing board here.
Yeah, but then on the Tennessee side, 71-69, and they lose to Alabama. They were up double digits again at the half, which apparently not a very good formula for Tennessee, but they're at 40-28 at the half. They ended up losing 71-69. Bama hit the game-winning shot with like 22 seconds left or something like that, wherever it was. And that was it for Tennessee. So, this is the third time in, the two Kentucky games we've talked about, and then you have another game at home against Alabama where you're up double digits at half and you just screw it up and lose in the second half.
Yeah, up 13 in the second half, and just a brutal loss. It would have been a really good win. I think that's a win that, Tennessee can start really looking at that four line, and instead you blow up. But the bigger story, of course, is Nate Ament and exactly what's going on with him. He tried to come back. I mean, the way his leg got pinned underneath him, a lot of people, like, they're done. They're having surgery after the swelling goes down. It looked like he's obviously okay enough to go out there. A little bit concerning, though. I mean, if you lose him for any amount of time, it's not going to be good for them. Late in the game, you're switching everything, and I understand it, but like Bama's just going methodically getting you to switch so that LeBaron Philon can be on JP Estrella, and he's even like shaking his head like, okay, guys, if that's what you want, I'll break JP Estrella down and hit the game-winning basket. I mean, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback that. The way Alabama was going about things, you don't have to switch, but you don't know that, because if he's going to go downhill right there, now if you don't switch, I understand the dilemma there defensively, but turns out to be the wrong strategy. And Bama, a rarity for Nate Oates, beating Rick Barnes.
Yep, and like you said, I mean, Tennessee's lost 2 in a row overall now. Vanderbilt's lost 3 of their last 4, and they play each other coming up this weekend. So Tennessee, I think, has South Carolina on the road on, I think it's tomorrow, and then Vandy and Tennessee to close out the regular season in Knoxville coming up on Saturday. So, I mean, that game's going to be huge for both these teams. They're not playing the way you want to be playing heading into the SEC tournament. So what a massive game that's going to be coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, no, it's a big one. Obviously, Vanderbilt trying to even things up. Tennessee was kind of riding high after winning here, and then hasn't had a rough week with the 0-2. So it's very big. And of course, the one meeting of the women yesterday was a really good game for like a lot of the game. And then, Michaela Blakes and Aubrey Galvin just wear you out, man. Michaela Blakes doesn't win. What did she have yesterday? 35, 34, 34. If she doesn't win National Player of the Year, it's just it's like the same thing as so Sarah Strong from UConn. I mean, they're great players, but Michaela Blake's the best basketball. I mean, she is absolutely the player of the year. She would win Player of the Year. Yeah, so she's 34 points, plays all 40 minutes. 6 of 9 from 3, 4 assists, couple steals, 6 rebounds. It's unbelievable watching her play basketball. It's kind of like if Braden Smith of Purdue gets on All-American teams. He's a great player, but there's a bunch of point guards in the country who are just flat out performing better than him. He never guards the other team's point guard. He should not, but sometimes you get these career, awards in college sports voting. So we'll see. But Michaela Blakes is a sophomore. Is a sophomore from Vanderbilt going to beat out a UConn senior?
Yeah.
I have my doubts, but for people who pay attention to the sport, it should be easy.
By the way, she plays all 40 minutes all the time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's, man, she gets foul trouble every now and then.
That's hardcore.
But she's 40 minutes against Tennessee. She only played 37 against Alabama last week. Tough one there. 40 against Kentucky, 40 against Georgia, 40 against Texas. She's playing 40 minutes all the time.
And I swear, she does not get tired. And it's just in the fourth. That's why, this game was close until late in the third. Vanderbilt went on a run, but she just does not get tired. And then, Galvin played 42, by the way, and had 24. I mean, and she just doing ridiculous stuff. It's a heck of a team. They got the official seeding has them as a 2 now. They did come out with another reveal yesterday, so Texas is a 1. So, but the SEC tournament still possible. Meanwhile, 6 straight losses for Tennessee. Now, number 4 Texas, number 17 Ole Miss, at Texas A&M. That's the killer. Number 11 Oklahoma on the road in a very good game. At LSU, number 6 versus Vanderbilt, number 5. That's the SEC for you. They're going to be in the tournament. So that's not a thing, even though they're only 16-12 and 8-8. But yeah, obviously, tough second year for Kim Caldwell.
Yeah, that's the SEC for you. Everything you just said is correct. Vols fans do not want to hear that at all.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, for sure. No, I totally understand. And especially, again, like through those, there were some good performances. Like the one at Oklahoma, they played really well. I mean, even yesterday, their best players, Barker and Smith, they played well. But you can't lose that Texas A&M game.
Yeah.
Like that's the game where – and obviously there's been a bunch of stuff with players getting benched and, calling out the players and all these things. So, they're going to be like probably a 6 or a 7 on the road. Very unfamiliar territory for that program. And then, of course, Vanderbilt's going to be a 2 at worst and hosting.
Yep.
So
that's going to go over well for Tennessee fans there too.
Well, no, I mean, it's a huge, it is a huge off season coming up here. I mean, who knows? I mean, they are talented enough. Like I said, Barker, and then it was Cooper Cooper had 23. That's the one who, coming off the bench had 23. They're talented enough to surprise somebody, but they probably won't. They probably won't get out the first weekend, and then it's like you better figure something out for year 3. Kim Caldwell, critical.
We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. We got a lot going on the program here today. It is a big week for the Nashville Predators. They got a huge game today at home, taking on the Detroit Red Wings, and the NHL trade deadline later this week. What's going to happen? What should happen? We'll get into all that. Take your thoughts throughout the show. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Big week for the Nashville Predators. A lot of games this week. Starting today, they're at home taking on the Detroit Red Wings. They got a game tomorrow as well. They play on Thursday. And then Friday is the NHL trading deadline. So today at home against Detroit, tomorrow on the road in Columbus, home Thursday against Boston, and you got the NHL trade deadline coming up on Friday. So 3 more games before decisions have to be made one way or the other for the Nashville Predators. They are 3 points out of a playoff spot. They went to Dallas over the weekend. They were up 2-0 in the game. Dallas comes back, gets it to overtime. Kind of a tough play in overtime, and then Jason Robertson gets the game winner. But you do walk out of Dallas with a point, which, frankly, if you'd told me that heading into it, I'd have said, yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. I'll take that point. So 3 points back. Seattle got a win over the weekend. San Jose got a win over the weekend. So you're right there with San Jose at 62 points. You're 3 points back of the Kraken. So you're still kind of basically, Joe, where you've been the last couple of weeks in terms of about 3 or 4 points out of a playoff spot. So obviously, this is a massive game today. Both the Red Wings, who are struggling right now, and the Predators really need this one. So I would imagine you're going to see a pretty good hockey game coming up to Bridgestone Arena. And that leads to what should happen this week. If you're a Predators fan out there, what do you want to see this week? I mean, I'm looking at the latest big board on The Athletic from Chris Johnson, friend of the show. And he's put together, I think it's his top 50 trade candidates here. Actually, it goes more than that. It's 56. We're now at 56. So 56 trade candidates that are on the big board here. He's got Steven Stamkos at number 9, Ryan O'Reilly at number 12. Michael Bunting is on this list at number 19. You've got Eric Holla at 25, who helped himself at the Olympics. So, Jonathan Marchessault is on this list at 38. So bottom line is, if the Predators want to, there's some intriguing trade options that they can make in terms of player that are on their roster that will have interest throughout the league. It's kind of a seller's market right now, which is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out here. So, Joe, I turn this over to you, and we can get Preds fans to weigh on this too at 615-737-1025. You know where you are in the standings. You got 3 games left before the deadline later this Friday. You've got guys that I think will garner some interest out there on the trading front. We'll get specifically into Stamkos here in just a few minutes. But what are you thinking if you're Barry Trotz and the Nashville Predators this week, given where you are in the standings and where things could go come trade deadline day on Friday?
At this very moment, because, I think I'm kind of moment by moment with this. It's that close. Like if they were 0-2 with no points in these 2 games, maybe I'd feel differently right now. But to me, I'm thinking go big or whatever. That's my thought. Go big, or I don't care about chipping away. I know I've seen some stuff from Preds fans. It's like, I want an acknowledgement. I want this trading deadline to be like an acknowledgement that like this is not working and that, we need to sell. And I just don't care about that. Go big if you can get a serious haul for one of these big targets, or I don't really like the other stuff is you're just chipping away. Again, if you do it, then okay, fine. Then, but if you just chip away, like what's Bunting getting you?
That's a good question. I think it'd depend on the team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got you a third.
Yeah.
Maybe a second.
Yeah. It's like, to me, if you're going to sell, then you need to engineer, one of these bigger. And so basically we're talking about O'Reilly, which there's a lot of doubt about whether they would want to do that because they feel like he should be the culture setter moving forward. And then you've got Stamkos, who we can, we're going to talk about that later. But beyond that, like to me, those possible deals can change your mind and be like, sorry guys, but like I have to do this. Whereas the other stuff is you saying, yeah, sorry. Like it's just not, I'm not worried about what you guys are doing right now. And again, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. To me, it would be disappointing if that's all you do, because the team is in a spot where they could make the playoff. And I'm sorry, like that's still, as we've talked about a million times, like that matters to the organization. It's not unimportant. I know Preds fans are going to say, some will say, I just am sick of this being in the mushy and all that. And I'm like, I agree with you, but you'd still rather be there. You are there. So you'd still rather be there in the playoffs and have a series than not, right?
Well, by the way, you weren't in the mushy middle last year. You were third worst team in the league.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
there is that.
That's true. Yeah. But it's almost like making a run and being able to contend for a playoff spot is more like disappointing in a way. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no, don't be, because you're worried about, don't be fooled by this, sell. But like sometimes it's like, okay, so what are you getting back?
Well, as you've said, the big one here is O'Reilly, right? Like, what does he want to do? And look, I understand, and I probably approach it this way too. Last year, clearly, they basically treated Ryan O'Reilly like he had a no-move clause, like he was one of these guys that had trade protection in his contract, and he doesn't. And I understood that. Like Ryan O'Reilly, I mean, you're not going to find a harder worker, more respected guy, all that stuff. So I get that. This year, I would not do that if it were me. Like, I'd be like, look, man, we'll try to do the best we can to put you somewhere where you got a chance to win. But at the end of the day, like I've got to do what's best for the Nashville Predators. And by the way, like I say, put you somewhere where you got a chance to win. If somebody's making a trade for Ryan O'Reilly at the trading deadline, it's going to be a team where he's got a chance to
exactly
win. So there is that. It's interesting here. I was, the board that Chris Johnston at The Athletic has put out there. I read the first three names. It was like Vincent Trocheck, who's a center, Nazem Kadri, center, Robert Thomas, center. It's like, well, where in the heck is Ryan O'Reilly? And then you read the kind of the blurb here, and I'll just read you quickly what Johnston says. Quote, O'Reilly would shoot up he's at number 12. O'Reilly would shoot up the board if the Predators made a firm decision to trade him. So far, that hasn't happened, but multiple teams are keeping tabs here because O'Reilly is defying the aging curve with strong two-way results, including a bounce-back offensive performance that has already seen him eclipse last season's point total. 2019 Conn Smythe Trophy winner, remains a beast in the faceoff circle, has the ability to be a true difference maker for a contender. So basically, Chris Johnston is saying, if the Predators decide to trade him, he's moving up to about number 3 or number 4 on this list. So yeah, we'll see what happens on that. The pathway here at the deadline to me kind of really hinges on him. I mean, it's not like you can't get anything for Eric Halla, or you can't get anything for Michael McCann, or you can't get anything for Michael Bunting, all those guys. But like that to me is like, if they are truly selling, that is what the move is.
Exactly. So to me, it's like, I think some fans just want to sell someone and, like, again, like an acknowledgement, like this is not okay or whatever. I think that the potential right at this moment, as they still hang in there to get into the postseason this year, is like the benefit of that is more than getting a couple third-round picks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, we got people on the YouTube chat talking about, like, I don't know if it's as much about what you're getting back as it is opening up spots for, Schaefer and Kimmel and all those guys, which I get to a certain degree. Like, if you move on from Bunting, could that be a spot where you could bring Kimmel up in the lineup and he could play? Like, yes, technically it could be that way. Like, to me, O'Reilly's different from that. If you're trading Ryan O'Reilly, it's 100% about what you're getting back. Like, you better be getting back something really good, just really good. So, and they will. Like, if they decide to trade Ryan O'Reilly, they will get back a haul for that. Now, the question is, are they going to do that? Is there any appetite towards that? I mean, look, Barry Trotz has said on DVD and other places that he will, his mind is open. They're not in the playoffs. He's listening to everything. But how intently are you listening to the Ryan O'Reilly stuff? That's a big question.
Right. So A-Dub right on the YouTube chat, if you can get a lot of these guys and move them, Preds just seem to be stuck in this, almost making the playoffs to lose in the first round. When will the rebuild actually happen? Like you just said,
To answer the question, the rebuild's not happening. They've made that very clear. They are not going through a rebuild.
And they were terrible last year.
Yeah.
They had a big sell-off. Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's just like a couple moves here, move Bunting, move Halla. Like, it just doesn't move the needle, If you're going to do it, then, like, again, if you're going to just do that, I guess that might be the thing that I would have the biggest problem with. It's like,
to kind of nibble around the edge.
Yeah, let these guys go. Or make the big deal that gets you something huge, and then it's like, hey, man, there's nothing. What else can you do? I mean, I think that would get probably the most approval from Preds fans.
It's going to be really interesting to see what they do this week. If I, and this is a total guess on my part. Okay. So I'm not sitting here trying to report anything, or this is a total guess. My guess is, Joe, that they're not all that active coming up this week. Now, there is one guy who we've talked about a little bit before that I think they're going to listen on regardless, and we'll get into that. You're coming up here in just a few minutes. There's another guy who has had some landing spots that have been reported and thrown out there that he kind of shut down over the weekend. We'll get into that as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Big game for the Predators today. They're taking on the Detroit Red Wings at 1 o'clock. Pre-game at 12. They're on 102.5 The Game. Trade deadline coming up on Friday. Some debate on what the Predators should do. Should they sell? Should they stand pat? We have a couple of people on the text line talking about buying. So Matthew from Jolton says, unless you can get a bona fide number one center, you sell. Buster on the text line says, go get Robert Thomas, who is number 3 on Chris Johnston's big board there. So maybe buying could be happening.
How about that? Barry just go out just like, we're all in, baby. Why not?
We're going to go get Vinny Trocheck, Robert Thomas, add it to the mix there. I don't think that's going to happen, but, I've been surprised before in this league, so we'll see what happens on that front. Steven Stamkos. So Pierre LeBrun put it out there. I think this was on Thursday, and he essentially said that Steven Stamkos obviously has a no movement clause, but there are multiple destinations that he might consider. And some destinations that he threw out there would be, I think, Minnesota, Dallas, obviously Tampa Bay, and I think New Jersey was thrown into that mix as well. So obviously that generated some buzz. Alex Doherty from the Tennessean on Friday caught up with Stamkos at practice and asked him about it. And basically Stamkos said, quote, I haven't talked to Trotzy about that at all. And he added that there was zero chance he'd be willing to waive his no movement clause. Now, Stamkos doesn't just throw stuff out there lightly, like he says. So when he says that, Joe, I believe him. My guess would be this. He wants to see it through right now with how it's going. And then if you feel like you need to reevaluate in the offseason, you reevaluate in the offseason. And if there's interest in the offseason, either from his side or from another side or both of moving on at that point, then you consider. But when Stamkos says zero chance he'd be willing to move his no movement clause, I tend to take him at his word there, Joe. Joe, the only thing that in my mind, and again, this is not me talking to Stamkos, this is just me thinking out loud. The only thing I think might change that is if like Tampa called Nashville and was like, hey, you know what? We just really want Stamkos back. And we feel like with the team we have now and the way that he's playing, that he could really help us down the stretch here. Now, that's going to be, to me, almost borderline impossible for Tampa to pull off at the deadline, given the cap number and everything else here. But that would be the one situation where I think Stamkos may be like, oh, okay, yeah, I might do that. But other than that, it kind of sounds like Stamkos ain't going anywhere this week.
0.0. This is what he says. Is he going to end up being like the guy who owns part of his team? No, I'm not going to be the coach at Alabama. Not that it's, Stamkos out here trading himself, but I'm just saying.
Maybe he's gotten some advice from Saban.
Maybe.
He said he hadn't talked to Trotzy. He didn't say anything about not talking to Saban.
Just go ahead and say it. It'll never come back to you.
Yeah. Nobody pays attention to it anyway.
0.0.
Thank you. Dean Wormer. Appreciate that. Yeah. It's interesting. The Tampa thing is interesting. Like you said, it's hard to see that. I don't see how it works out. They are playing great. Imagine just throw Stamkos back in there right now. But I think that's, look, I mean, good for him for having that conviction to be willing to come out and say it. And like you said, the off season, who knows, maybe things are a little different. But I wonder if they does this, how much is this related to what they've done? Yeah. Obviously he's played great and his season along with their season, and it's no coincidence, turned around. But like, if they were in a little bit different position, would he feel the same way?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, sometimes I think Predators fans get tired of hearing this, but it is in most cases a reality, and it should be a really good thing for your organization. He loves it here. Like, from everything I hear, Stamkos loves it here. Clearly O'Reilly does. Like, O'Reilly loves it here. His family's here. And particularly when you're talking about guys like Stamkos who have no movement clauses and have a total say into whether or not you can move them. I mean, that matters in this discussion. Like, every now and then it's like, you know what? You might even want to trade me. I ain't going nowhere. And I'm not saying the Predators want to trade him, but I think when you when you give those no movement clauses out, where you are kind of matters in that discussion. So I don't think Stamkos is going anywhere this week. I've said this before. Like if this is what he is next year, like if he's figured something out here, I mean, you probably want that guy around, right? Like he's got 2 more years left on the deal after this one. Now the flip side with him is he's 36. So is he going to be this for the next couple of years? I don't know. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. So far be it for me to say he can't do it, but I don't know. That part of it's going to be really interesting. Like if you're talking about on the surface, the 2 most intriguing options this week, it's O'Reilly, I would put at number 1, and he's number 2. Stamkos would be number 2 if he was open to being moved. It doesn't sound like he is open to being moved at this point. So maybe go ahead and take him off the board. The other one that's going to be really interesting to watch is Marchessault. What happens with him? It's just not been a fit. We've talked about that. There has been some kind of reporting out there that there are teams checking in on him that are interested in him and think that they could, it's all about fit, right? Like I don't think Marchessault has just totally forgotten how to play hockey, but he just doesn't fit here. And they've not been able to find a good, center combination with him that has really worked out all that well. So he's the guy that I think, whether they win 3 in a row this week, whether they lose 3 in a row this week, somewhere in between, I think they'll be listening on him no matter what. That's just a guess on my part, but I think everybody involved realizes that it ain't working with Marchessault, and I think they'll listen on him.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's what are they listening to? That's a big thing. Is it going to hurt the Preds on the Stamkos thing? Like, is the whole no movement clause thing? Is it going to end up hurting the Preds that people love living here? Like, is it it's like another reason not to give them out that you're in Nashville and people are like, oh yeah, I have young kids and I don't want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I do think ultimately. And it's not a this week. Like right now, looking at it from Stamkos' perspective, this is basically what he told Alex Doherty. They're playing meaningful hockey games. They're, like it or not, if they put together 3 good performances this week, Joe, and win, they might be at a playoff spot by the time the deadline comes around. I don't know. It's impossible to sit here and predict what's going to happen today, later this week. But they could be. They could be either in a playoff spot or right there on the razor's edge of one. So I understand from his perspective, it's like, we've battled our way back into this. I want to see it through. I think living here is important. I think the family situation is obviously important. Ultimately, especially for a guy like Stamkos at this stage of his career, he's got to be convinced that you got a chance to win at some point. And if he's not this offseason, if he looks at it this offseason, it's they're just not close to competing for a championship, then I do think he'll probably be open to it at that point. But right now, it's kind of tough timing on that.
See, I hear what you're saying, but if that's the case, what does he see right now? It's just a matter. It's just a matter of not wanting to get moved during the season.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's it.
Could be again. Are
you sure he's not going to be like, actually, yes, I'm going to continue to live in Nashville. Thank you.
I'm not sure.
And the whole, you don't come to Nashville to retire thing.
The only thing I can tell you is he said at the end of last year, we started talking about the rebuild and all that stuff, and clearly they haven't gone down that road. But his comment at the end of the season last year was, as long as I feel like they're committed to winning, I'm all in. If I get the chance, get the feeling that they're not, well, then we're having a different discussion. Is basically what he said. So, I don't think the feeling is going to be different. The Predators are going to be committed to trying to be as good as they possibly can be. The question is going to be, how good can they be? There's, we're going to get into this a little bit here in the next segment. There's still a huge problem with this team right now, and a huge problem with the outlook of this team over the next couple of years that has not gotten any better this year. So there's a huge problem there where if you're him, you're looking at it and you're saying, it's the same problem we've been talking about for 30 years around here. Who's playing center? That's, this was supposed to be a step forward, big type of year for Svechkov. It's been a total flop. Total. Now they've got guys
just way too common of a storyline.
And they've got it, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's doomed. It doesn't necessarily mean that he can't figure it out at some point. But right now, if you're looking at the future of center ice for the Predators, most of it all comes down to guys who not only aren't even here yet, but aren't even in the AHL yet. You're talking about Brady Martin. You're talking about Igor Surin. And while those guys may end up being great players in like a Steven Stamkos timeline with where he's under contract right now, they ain't going to be here.
Right.
Or at least they're not going to be here and develop to the point where they need to be for them to compete for championships.
Right. And if you're him, how critical is that, right? I mean, we've seen what it means to him to have some center play with him and not. And there's just a big gap. So how do you fill that gap?
It's a good question. They've been trying to fill it for a long time. It's a really good question. So that's why I say, he's in the fight right now. Everything I know about that guy, he's all in. And I understand, again, he doesn't throw zero chance out there lightly. If he says that, I believe that. Now, I think in the offseason, things can be different at that point. And then, the O'Reilly one is interesting. What does Barry Trotz do if Ryan O'Reilly walks in the office this week and is like, hey, I don't want to be traded? Does he just say, okay, well, we'll keep you here? I mean, there's some idea out there that you could sign him to an extension this July. I don't know how many Predators fans would be all in on that, but I mean, technically he is eligible for an extension coming up on July 1st.
That's interesting. Well, if Ryan O'Reilly goes in and says that to Barry Trotz, I wouldn't be surprised if Barry Trotz said, I was never going to trade you anyway, man. Yeah. I don't know. Why did you even mention it?
Yeah.
Why did you bring it up? Mike says, I really don't want the outgoing GM making any big decisions at the trading deadline.
Well,
sorry.
I hear that. I also, what is a big decision, right? I mean, I also, if you feel like the best move, and this is a Haslam thing, this is a Sean Henry thing, you feel like the best move for your organization right now is to move on from O'Reilly and get the return that you will get for him, you also can't just not make the move because Barry Trotz isn't going to be your general manager in 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of a tough spot. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the trade deadline for the Nashville Predators. We'll get into some NFL Combine reaction from over the weekend as well, coming up to begin the 7 o'clock hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
schedule does all that up. You get another 3 and 4 coming up this week. What is the focus, the mindset as you head into it?
Yeah, I mean, we should be fresh, right? You know, majority of us anyways, of coming off the break, we're excited to play games. You know, you get sick of practicing there for a while, so we're excited about playing the games, and this is the time of year you want to be playing meaningful hockey, and we are. So that's the mindset we have.
Steven Stamkos, after Saturday night's game, they fell in Dallas 3-2 in overtime. A huge one today for the Preds, taking on the Red Wings at 1:00 at Bridgestone Arena. NHL trade deadline is Friday. I'm taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025, our phone number. Cam on the text line says, this deadline, yet another opportunity for the Preds to cash in on an aging player. Ryan O'Reilly's return will never be as high as it will be this week. If we wait until the offseason, we lose leverage. Preds need to capitalize. Now, I totally agree with that. If you're looking to maximize value, this is it for Ryan O'Reilly. Not that you can't get something, good for him in the offseason with a year left on his deal. You can. But you're talking right now, number one, he's playing great. Number two, it's center, and teams need center this time of year. You can never have enough. And number three, I mean, he's got a postseason run and then another year left on his contract.
That's perfect.
Yep. So if you're talking maximum, and by the way, his contract's $4.5 million. So with the cap being what it is in the NHL right now, I mean, it's perfect. So I totally agree with Cam from that standpoint. Like, this is why I've said for months, if they want to move him, they're going to get a lot for him. Like, they're going to. So that is the decision that you have this week if you're Barry Trotz and the Predators. I totally agree with Cam. If all you're looking to do is maximize value on O'Reilly, well, then this is it. This is the time to do it this week.
Yeah, and I really hope that Barry Trotz is open to that. Right?
Sure. I mean,
is it possible
it
he's
would be
not
a problem
open to
if
that?
he's not open to it. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it. But I mean, he's going to get some calls this week that's like, hey, man, this is
calls that he hasn't gotten yet.
I think until this week, people have gauged interest. Maybe you've had a couple of teams try to jump the gun and go get him. But whatever, there's no more time to screw around if you're any of these teams. Like, whatever your best offer is for Ryan O'Reilly, you got to come with it this week. And look, it's not just O'Reilly. Like, Trocheck is an interesting option for these teams. Kadri and Calgary, it's a little bit different because his contract kind of sucks. But other than that, I mean, he's a good player. Thomas with the Blues, I mean, you're talking about a 26-year-old guy who has demonstrated in his career that can be a number one center. Now,
which is why Buster did say, by the way, he's talking about not just,
sure,
it'd be a long-term move.
Sure. Exactly. So, it's not like O'Reilly's the only center on the market here, but just the combination of experience, cap hit, the way he's playing, and another year left on his deal. It's very attractive for teams out there for Ryan O'Reilly.
Like, I have to think several teams would be very interested, and that's, I mean, if you get a serious bidding war going, what could that mean? So yeah, you need to be open to it because you're going to get some. And this is Barry Trotz understands all this, but it's like you're gonna get some calls this week that you haven't had yet because it gets urgent, and he could really. I can see a lot of teams looking at him like, man, what a significant difference this could make here down the stretch.
Well, and you have to also factor in, like, depending on the return, which, I've said before, I think is somewhere, and it doesn't have to exactly be this, but it's kind of somewhere in the neighborhood of a first-round pick, probably an additional pick, either second or third round, and a pretty high-level prospect. That would be kind of the floor of what I'm looking at for Ryan O'Reilly. If you get that, well, okay, who is the prospect? What position do they play? Preferably, it would be center, right? Like, that would be where I would start there. But the flip side of that is, let's say you trade O'Reilly. Well, we just had the Stamkos discussion. It's like, well, if you're him, you get to the offseason, it's like, well, O'Reilly's gone. I have no idea who's playing. Like, the prospect they just got may or may not be ready to play center next year. We've talked about Surin. We've talked about Martin. Maybe Brady Martin's ready to play next year. I have no idea. But if you're like, to me, if they move on from O'Reilly, it's probably more likely in the offseason Stamkos looks around and says, yeah, go ahead and start putting me on the block. I'm ready to get out.
Yeah. I mean, all the guys, the veterans are going to know, like, okay, it's going to be terrible next year, right? Not that O'Reilly, not that O'Reilly, is like some great irreplaceable, but like you take that out, and what are you looking at down the middle? You're signing up to be bad. And then again, it's like the culture stuff. And I mean, there's no question that he's about as good as it gets, which is another reason why teams should want to have him in their locker room as soon as possible. So what's the trade-off? So what's better? If you get a high-level center prospect, a first-round pick that won't be very high, and whatever, another pick, fine. But that trade-off, but then in exchange, you're not gonna have him as a culture setter, and you're also, obviously you're gonna be bad next year. If people want him to be bad, I don't see how they get around being quite bad next year.
Yeah, I mean, and everything you just said is true. I also I understand Predators fans are like, you know what? How about let's try the idea of getting out ahead on something, right? Like, look, I love Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly's having a great year. Ryan O'Reilly may be a really effective player in this league for the next 5 years. He can play till he's 40. I mean, the way he works, he probably will play till he's 40. But the reality is he's a 35-year-old player who it's at least conceivable, Joe, and I would even go as far as to say likely, but it's conceivable that he will never have another year for the rest of his career offensively like the one he's having right now. He's had them before, but he's 35. Like he's played over 1,200 games in this league. He's played a lot of playoff games. Like there's a lot of wear and tear on that car, right? Like there just is. So with the value conversation we just had, the value's pretty high. Like I think if you chose to do it, you'd be getting out ahead if you're the Predators before, age 36, age 37, age 38 comes around and he's just not the same guy. And it's no disrespect to him. It's just the way things go in this league. I mean, he's been in the league for 17 years at this point.
Yeah. And so I totally get the idea, like the Barry Trotz talked so much about it, about like how like this is all young players. You want them to emulate this guy. You do have some other good veterans on this team, who do that. And also, if you're drafting the right guys, those are the guys who should also provide that, right? Like those should be the guys who rise up and become and replace that role. I mean, to me, if you get major return, I think that's the smarter move.
It's going to be very interesting to say the way that they handled this week. Again, 3 more games in between all that too. So you play today, you play tomorrow, you play on Thursday, and then it is decision day on Friday with the NHL trading deadline. And by the way, I mean, you don't have to wait until Friday. They could make moves anytime. So we'll see. Keep on the lookout about 8:55 today.
I was going to say 9:05 a.m. Maybe 8:55 would at least be able to mention it.
That's what happened with Devondre Sweat.
That's
we
right.
At least got the small mention. Hey, Devondre Sweat's been traded. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Right, cool. See you later. We will get back into the Predators and the NHL trading deadline later in the program. It was a busy weekend at the NFL Combine over the weekend. Some reaction to some numbers that have been thrown out there. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that. We will get back into the Predators. Big game against Detroit today. NHL trading deadline coming up later this week. We'll get back into that a little bit later in the show. Joe, it was the NFL Combine over the weekend. I know you hated to miss out on being there, but maybe next year we'll get this thing in Nashville at some point.
Oh, yeah.
We can do live shows from it. That'll be great.
Wow. Sounds incredible.
Maybe, when they're running the 40-yard dash, we could be at about the 60-yard mark where they're, putting on the brakes right before our studio or like our broadcast location. We could really get just a first bird's eye view of the NFL Combine right there.
So you mean like we could set up, like we could just set up, and if they can't stop, they just barrel into us?
Yeah, they roll out of there. Well, if you can't stop, you're removed off people's draft board at that point. You got to be able to stop.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's not just running, it's starting and stopping in the NFL.
It is.
Actually, it could kind of spice up the drill a little bit. I like that.
Some interesting numbers over the weekend. Jeremiah Love running a 4.37 in the, or excuse me, a 4.36. I don't want to sell him short. A 4.36 in the 40-yard dash there. So, not that there was any question about this heading into it, but he will be the number one running back that is selected. He will be selected pretty high. And then the question becomes, if you're the Titans, how attractive is that option to you at number 4? I mean, our friend Nick Baumgartner said this weekend, quote, Jeremiah Love might be my number 1 overall prospect. That is what Nick Baumgartner had to say. So Jeremiah Love helping himself at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, we've entered Jeremiah Love season when it comes to talking Titans and the and their possible draft picks. So I'm not familiar with the reporter who reported the Titans. In fact, I don't remember his name, but someone reported that they heard that the Titans, and then I saw some other people mimic this, but someone who covers the NFL heard somewhere along the way that the Titans are enamored with Jeremiah Love. So you take that with a grain of salt. That's what happens at the Combine. People go out to the bar. They hang out with all these people from the teams, and people say stuff, and sometimes what they say turns out to be, wow, that was a good little nugget. And sometimes it's like, sounds like someone might have been messing with you. So you gotta be real cautious, but it was something that was reported. And again, because I don't remember this person's name, I can't even tell you who it was.
Quick search. Matthew Berry.
Matthew Berry does it.
Is the name that's kind of
was
popping
it Berry?
up.
Was it Matthew Berry? Yeah, okay. So that's a guy who,
the fantasy guy, right? He's pretty.
Yeah, he's been
pretty in tuned, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. He's not normally like a guy who. He's not normally a guy who's out there like, covering the league from a news perspective, but he is a guy who's around the league, and so he's around people, and sometimes they just hear stuff.
There's a story from TennesseeTitans.com from Jimmy Wyatt. From the headline is, from the NFL Combine, what if the Titans fall in love with Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love?
That is interesting.
There you go.
That sounds like,
Are the
Titans
Titans
generating
floating
some
it?
interest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they floating it to gauge reaction, or are they floating it to misinform?
I don't know.
It's all misinformation.
It's all misinformation.
What if they do love season?
Them? Yeah,
you can't.
Well, but there is, except when stuff turns out to be true, which happens too, right? Like it's not like every tidbit that comes out all turned out to be false, right?
Most of them.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting. I guess it depends on where things are coming from. That'd be an interesting case study, but there's some stuff that, the team. Sometimes you hear, the Colts love Will Levis. No, they actually like Anthony Richardson. But sometimes you hear, you heard the Texans love C.J. Stroud. The Texans stood C.J. Stroud, right? I don't know. It's an interesting. To me, you have to take it all with a grain of salt because there's so much of it is misinformation. But there's plenty that there's something to it. So which Titans? Who in the Titans organization was drinking beers with Matthew Berry at whatever that cool club that Kaharski likes to hang out with
Good question.
at 3 a.m. on Thursday morning,
You know who also really helped himself this weekend? Eli Stowers. He set a record for tight ends, a 45.5 vertical jump.
That's insane.
He had a broad jump of like 11.3 or something like that, which was also a record. And he ran a 4.51, which, for his size, tight end, pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Eli Stowers helped himself with the testing this weekend.
He's also like a Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
He's a genius too. So, yeah. The 45.5 for someone his size,
That's pretty nuts.
the NBA dunk contest needs a little help. Like, can we get Stowers in on that?
Sure.
Yeah, no, again, this is where it gets interesting with measurables. And with him, the thing about him is, of course, he's kind of a tweener, right? I mean, he's really like a big slot, or, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to, I don't know that he's going to ever be used as an inline tight end in the NFL. But he's a weapon. We saw him make plays at Vanderbilt. He was a terrific weapon for the Commodores. And then with those measurables, you wonder if that gives him a chance to sneak into the first round.
Maybe. I mean, the Sadiq kid out of Oregon also tested very well. He's
Yep.
going to go in the first round. But Stowers, I mean, look, I don't know how, if you're an NFL team, you look at the production that he had on the field, the film, which is going to be really good on the Eli Stowers front, and now you have this testing to go along with it. He ain't making it that far, I don't think. Like, I have seen some mocks, and I think it's going to be less as we get closer here, that have him like way back in the second round, maybe even into the third. I'm like, well, that's not happening anymore. He's going to go.
Yeah.
He'll be gone in the second round.
Yeah. Ultra BMW.
If not before.
Yeah. No, the point, Ultra BMW, he's a detached tight end, Ultra. I mean, again, I'm not saying he's a slot receiver, but that's what, when people talk about big slots, that's what people do with guys like that. I mean, look at what Titans did with Delaney Walker at times. Not that he couldn't play in line, but I'm just saying, it's, don't get that confused with saying he's a slot receiver. The point is, he's going to be a detached pass catcher. So, some teams obviously would rather, like, at that quote unquote position, would rather have someone who can be versatile enough to play in line too. But yeah, he's helped himself a lot. So the Love thing, I've got people, there's a smoke screen 100%. It's interesting. It could be. I don't know. But do the Titans want, they go so far that I haven't read Jimmy's story, but that Jimmy Wyatt on the official side is asking the question. Is he posing the question to mess with people? I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, in all seriousness, like, they should be considering it, right? Like,
sure.
I mean, it's worth considering. It just gets into the value of, I mean, he has to be an absolute star.
Yeah. Well,
to consider taking him there, he has to be immediately one of the best players at that position in the NFL, to me, to justify doing that at 4.
Well, some people are saying they're trying to drum up interest to get people to trade up. Maybe. My follow-up to that would be, how realistic is it that somebody's trading up for a running back? I don't know the answer. I mean, I guess if you think that he's just unbelievable, then it's not impossible. But we don't see that happen very often. It's like, I have got to trade up to go get this running back.
I'd love to know when the last time that happened. A trade up in the first round to get a running back. People, they trade up in lower rounds,
sure,
if they to go get someone they love. But first round trade up for a running back, that'd be a great little piece of trivia. Yeah, Texas, I'm sure they love him, but they're trying to get to spook KC to trade up. Yeah.
I don't think KC's going to do that. Yeah, that's a big move.
They're not moving up 5 spots. There are other good backs.
There are. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the NFL Combine stuff. We'll continue that conversation coming up next. Speaking of trades, what would it actually take for the Titans to be in play for trading back at this spot at number 4? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. Do you think that when they made the trade with Sweat and they got that all-pro rush in, that they did that with taking Jeremiah Love at 4? That way you take care of 2 problems with 1 pick, basically.
It's a good question. I would say the move that they made at end, Joe, I don't think that disqualifies them from making another one. I mean, it's the move they made at end. It's a good, I think it's good return for Sweat.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's without risk. Like the guy really wasn't all that good last year. He was coming off the Achilles. I understand that. But there's no guarantee that he's ever going to be the player that he was again. And look, he was a good player under Robert Saleh's tenure in New York. I think his high was, 7.5 sacks he got 1 year. So that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But like they still need some help at edge rusher.
Yeah. To answer the question, no, I don't think that. I don't think that there's a correlation because you're still in the process of figuring these guys out. So certainly Jeremiah Johnson does not remove your need to go get a big time. And if you decide David Bailey is just a flat out better player than Jeremiah Love or Sonny Styles is or whatever, then that's what you're going to do. So no, I don't. I think any idea that a team has it all figured out and is orchestrating this, knowing they're going to do that in the draft, is probably unrealistic. Also, I'm going to thank Trevor and Reddit, and I believe this is fact. He says that the Chargers moved up in 15 to get Melvin Gordon. That's the last time. Melvin Gordon out of Wisconsin. So that sounds – I mean, that tracks to me that it would be decade plus.
I remember that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like, is there anything between then and now? It'd be easy to believe no.
So
thank you, Trevor.
Have you seen the Carnell Tate controversy? He ran a 4.53 at the 40-yard dash, but apparently that time is under dispute because some teams that were clocking him by himself, I think, had him at 4.45. So obviously a 4.45 and a 4.53 are two very different things there.
All right. Like 0.07.
I mean, you'd ask me which one he'd rather have, a 4.45 or a 4.53.
Yeah.
So apparently he's going to run again at the pro day coming up at Ohio State.
Run a 4.2.
My guess is a stopwatch on that. Be like, wow, he just ran a 4 flat. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean the 4.53, I believe was 27th out of 34 participating prospects at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So not great.
Again, this is where I hate the combine, and it just makes you want to puke. So, hey, this Mississippi State dude ran a 4.2 something. Take him over Carnell Tate. Why wouldn't you?
Well,
it's about 40 times.
I mean,
my goodness, where is he number 1 in the whole draft board?
I hear you.
He ran a 4.2.
I agree with everything you're saying. We also just saw someone last year that's now a member of the Titans organization not get drafted because their 40 time sucked. And that was Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah. What was his 40 time again?
It's like 4.8.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. You get to like 3/10, 4/10 from like what is considered
Tom
fast.
Brady. You run a Tom Brady 40.
Yeah.
See where you get
Restrepo
drafted.
ran a 4.83.
Yeah. Yeah. But so again, so you're telling me the difference is, so he ran a 4.53 in the official, and you said it was a 4.45.
Some teams, this is from The Athletic, quote, teams recorded Tate with a time of 4.45 in the second range.
There's
discrepancy.
10 things about him that I care, and how he runs any route in the route tree matters more to me than 0.08 of a freaking second. I mean, it's just so dumb. So everybody flip out about crap like this. It's just, like, look, for what we know of him, if he ran like a 4.3, it might be like, oh, okay. Well, that's just a little bit different level of speed. But like, I would have expected him to be a 4.45 to 4.5 guy. That's what he is. Great. So it doesn't change anything for me. I don't think he's the number 4 pick. And it would have taken something absurd for him to change it with his 40 time, or absurd the other way, like Restrepo, where you're like, oh, geez, what did we miss on film, right? Is he just this open all the time because he plays at Ohio State? It moves the needle absolutely none. But we will talk about it a lot because exercising is a huge thing in sports, thanks to the NFL.
Disappointing to not see your boy, Mekhi Lemon, run the 40 time.
Yeah.
What's he afraid of?
I don't know. I'm disappointed too. I will say I'm always disappointed if these guys don't want to go out there and compete.
Yeah.
It's
So
so
you'll do
he'll
it the
run it at USC.
I guess.
Yeah, run at USC Pro Day, and he'll run a 4.31, 4.2.
By that point, you'll have the jersey already made. I guess you probably need to wait for the Titans' new jersey to come out before you make it and get the Makai Lemon jersey.
Yeah. Just a cool name, Lemon.
It's pretty awesome.
You know? Yeah. I feel like names, like that are like foods are just cool,
Yeah.
Eli Apple.
Well, see, this whole conversation I largely agree with, but we can go too far the other way with it. Like Craig says, why do we care how fast people run in their shorts and T-shirts? If you want to see how fast they run, put on the pads and let's see what you got. Well, I agree to a certain extent. Now, it's not like we don't learn things from the 40-yard dash.
Sure.
Newsflash, Chris Johnson ran a pretty good 40, and the Titans were like, oh, my God, he's really fast. We need to take him.
Yep.
That worked out pretty well for the Tennessee Titans. So these things are not unimportant.
Yeah, the extremes can matter. So he was an extreme. Again, though, the Mississippi State kid, okay, like we'll see. I mean, that's great speed. There are plenty of incredibly fast people who never do anything in the NFL, right? If not, Ronaldo Nehemiah would have been an all-time great player, and the 49ers never would have drafted Jerry Rice. He was an Olympic sprinter,
Yeah, what did John Ross do in the NFL? He ran a 4.22.
He ran a 4.2, yeah. And it was like, oh, my God. Believe me, you can find a Tennessean column where I said, they must draft John Ross. I promise you can find it back from 2017.
How many catches did John Ross have? Let's see.
Lesson learned again and again and again. So again, at the extreme, yeah, like the extremes, if they confirm what's on tape, or it's like, wow, it's even better with the measurables on tape. And Johnson's one of those examples where he's at East Carolina, so you're a little bit like, okay, competition, all that, right? Or if it's so bad, like with Restrepo, it's like, that's just like, that actually is going to show up on the field. Most of the stuff in between, we are nitpicking.
I agree. But just my point is, like, to act like it's totally irrelevant is just not accurate. Like it is, It is relevant.
Sure, it is a relevant test. But people turn it into this is what this is as a football player.
They put too much on it.
No.
By the way, John Ross played 38 games, 63 catches for 963 yards, 11 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's actually more than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's more than I thought.
I thought he had like 12 catches.
It seems
for 0
like
touchdowns.
I remember 3. So,
won a Super Bowl. He was technically on Philadelphia's roster. I think he played one game.
Got a ring. There you go. Rob says my nickname for Isaiah Wilson was Lemon. But well done, Rob.
Nice.
Well done.
615-737-1025. Our phone number 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts on the NFL Combine, plus 2 names that I saw PK throw out there in terms of the Titans trying to sign that were interesting to me. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? If so, nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in just a few minutes. Cory Curtis from News 2 with us at 8 o'clock here on the program here today. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. A lot of thoughts on the text line about the 40 time. God bless the NFL Combine. Spent a lot of time talking about times and measurables out there. It's good stuff. Really love this time of year.
Yeah. It's doing something, thinking about March is one of the best sports months of the year for obvious reasons. I think February. Now, February with the Olympics is different, but
Sure.
but February and probably July are probably the worst, right?
It's pretty bad.
And one of the things that distinguishes them is that in March we're about to have news, which is NFL teams signing football players.
Sure.
Which is okay. At least that's important. That's an off-season thing that actually matters, actual roster additions. And in February, we have exercising.
Yeah.
And people flipping out. So you got people texting you Saturday night. Oh, my God. Oh, did you see the 40 time for Carnell Tate? Oh, my goodness.
That did happen.
Can we guess? I did not. That was I don't even know what the hell that voice was, but I didn't give away who it was.
It's good.
You're sitting there. Squeak toy. Carnell Tate. Sorry.
Speaking of another voice that we love to do on the show, Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com put this out there from Indy over the weekend, Joe. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. I'll read the opening two graphs. The Titans list of players heading to unrestricted free agency includes 5 who had major roles on offense or defense when the team was healthy. They're projected to earn an average annual salary of $4 million or more with their new contracts. The team is pushing hardest to reach an agreement with tight end Chig Okonkwo and right guard Kevin Zeitler, 2 players with limitations who will still carry over some steadiness and production on offense. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read PK's entire article, but, obviously, Joe, the Chig thing, I mean, I get it, right? Chig's not going to cost that much money. He's a good player.
He said goodbye already.
Yeah, he did say goodbye, so there is that. So I have to factor that in. The Zeitler thing, I think people saw this and said, really? Kevin, you're trying to get Kevin Zeitler back in there? And one of the things PK brings up here is, well, they did just get rid of Lloyd Cushenberry, so you have to go find another center now. And do you really want to go find another center and another right guard with everything else you got to do this offseason? So there you go. What do you make of apparently the 2 free agents that are I guess, free agents to be that the Titans are pushing the hardest to reach an agreement with are Chig and Kevin Zeitler?
I'm for keeping Chig. It's not going to cost you a lot. And I think he and Cam Ward actually had decent chemistry in a bad offense with a largely rough season. I think that's worthwhile. Zeitler, I think you hit it. It's I understand anybody rolling their eyes. He was underwhelming and he's old. So you're not excited about that, but you still need functional depth. And, we'll see what Slater can do. We'll see what else they might want to do in terms of additions. I don't have a big problem with that. Also, if they don't re-sign him, it's not we'll never talk about it again next year. It will never be. Oh my God, Kevin Zeitler's not here
unless he ends up somewhere and is playing great, which would be a very Titans thing for it to happen. But I have my doubts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, I think he's
Lions bringing back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Last year, people are at some point, Lions fans were freaking out. I remember at some point, I think I may have got into someone's mentions guys, have you noticed what Zeitler's doing with the Titans this year? This is not a problem. Chig, yeah, if they can do it, Chig is one of those guys who probably did just enough last year to be overpaid this offseason. All right, what are you laughing about?
I just forgot that, the Titans played the Jags on January the 4th, okay? So January 4th, they play the Jags. It's a noon game. The game ends at, I don't remember specifically when it ended, but we know how NFL, games work. 3 o'clock, 3:15. That sucker's over. It's done with. And Kuharski has attached the goodbye tweet from Chig in this thing. It's from 4:08 on January the 4th. It's not even an hour after the game. Thank you, Tennessee, for allowing me to live out my childhood dreams. Playing in the NFL, representing the Titans for the past 4 years, has been an unbelievable privilege that I'll never take for granted. Thank you, Lord, for keeping me safe and allowing me to play every game these past few years. So, like an hour.
I'm now going to shower.
Yeah, like they're probably still in the stadium in Jacksonville. He's like, "Thank you, Titans, appreciate it.
Busting to the
We'll
plane.
see you later."
Yeah. Kaharski's. So, Chig, what did you think of your game? Hold on, Paul. I got to send this tweet out. Are you going to come back? Hold on. You can see it on Twitter. I'm tweeting it right now. Yeah.
I just had forgotten it was like 45 minutes after the game ended where he sent that tweet. It's like, "Thank you, Titans, appreciate it."
Woo-wee. Yeah. Not even turning in my shoulder pads yet, but I'm leaving. Thank you. And yeah, if you're him, I don't know. What's the excitement level out on the market for Chig?
I don't know.
Someone will
I
sign
mean,
him. Someone will sign him.
Look,
you
yeah,
know?
like I think.
What is his role on an offense?
I mean, he's like
He's not a number one.
He's not
right?
a number one tight end, but he's a guy that I think you look at, you feel okay about your tight end situation already, and you're like, you know what? I like what he can do with the ball in his hands after the catch.
I mean, how many touches is he going to get a game in a legit offense? And how much is that really worth?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a star. I guess some teams could look at it. Some teams who are really strapped for skill position talent could look at some of the film on him and be like, yeah, this guy can make some plays. Or yeah, he's just a depth add, but like it's just like anything in this league. If you get out there, you're probably going to get someone to pay you more than they should. So
I guess a bad team could overpay him if they really need weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Chig could have just been feeling sentimental and like just thanking the Titans. He's like, I really love this place. I need to thank them publicly. 45 minutes after the game doesn't necessarily have to mean it was a goodbye thing. We just kind of all took it that way.
Yeah, you just read it.
Thank you, Tennessee.
Yeah, you just read it. I'm pretty sure that was a goodbye thing.
Thank you, Tennessee, for allowing me to live out my childhood dream.
I'm leaving
I will
ASAP.
never darken the doorstep of your porch ever again. I'm out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah. But hey, he could always, if he comes back, he could always say, no, I was just thanking everybody. I was just really, feeling good.
I mean, there is a chance he gets out there and he doesn't really like what he sees on the market and ends up back here. But clearly the Titans, the interesting part about this is, you can always get into the Kuharski said, quote, "The team is pushing hardest to reach an agreement with tight end Chig Okonkwo and right guard Kevin Zeitler." Well, how hard are they pushing, right? Like, there's obviously, I don't think you're like going all out to sign Okonkwo and Zeitler if you're the Titans.
It's a relative to everybody else. So you're like, please all of you leave. Yeah. Because this roster is terrible. Right. Hardest among this roster. It's like, tallest of this. Snow White's buddies.
And you got to find center. Is it really that big of a deal? And I'm asking the question. I don't know. Is it really that big of a deal if you need to go find center and right guard? Like, is it worth bringing Kevin Zeitler back to play right guard for no other reason than you don't want to go find another right guard because you already have to find a center? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, because you look around free agency and you're like, there's really no one that's markedly better than him. So obviously it's not like continuity matters. You're new offense, but yeah, continuity of locker room. Why not? He's a pro. He's a veteran. You could still potentially late in the draft try to add. I mean, I'm sure they will somewhere in this draft. They're gonna at least add depth, right, at offensive line. But yeah, exactly. It's like let's not create more problems for ourselves that we already have plenty of things that we have to do.
4:08 p.m. The Chig tweet. Wow, still in the shower. I'm tweeting goodbye to the Titans.
Oh, shampoo my eye. Hold on, let me get this tweet off.
I'm still deep in Duval.
I can't even finish a shower until I know that I've told the public I'm leaving Nashville.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Cory Curtis at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Oh, did you see the 40 time for Carnell Tage? Oh, my goodness. I want an ice cream, and I want a hot dog, and I want rant fire, and I want a hamburger. Sometimes it does need to be violence, okay?
We had a love fest. We all kind of gathered around. We hugged each other.
Hey, Izzo, don't bogart the bong.
I smoke weed constantly.
Exercising is a huge thing. I mean, I probably should have gone and told on this guy.
Rexrode finally gets something done.
Oh, my God.
It is time for the Rex Rant. I hesitate to talk because I just want to let this beautiful song play for as long as I can. Joe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's crazy. Kokomo and I don't remember when I said that. It was a long time ago on this show, but I said that, like, in high school, the most infuriating thing would be, like, you're up early in the morning and you know, high school. I mean, look, if I could do things to change society, I would actually let high school kids start at school like 8:39. You know, I don't think they need to start school as early as they do. I know I sure as hell didn't. But just in those mornings and on the local station in Richmond, Virginia, it'd either be that, Kokomo by the Beach Boys, which is an absolute, almost ruins their entire legacy. It's so bad. Or Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin, which actually makes me want to rip my
What a
eyebrows off my head. It was one of those two.
What a combo.
At all times. And people still, it's still like it's a you know, Ian, he's churning both of those out for me often. So thank you.
Those are good mood setters in the morning.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. You want to
keep them coming, Ian.
Punch my little brother on my way out the door. So I'm gonna pivot here just because I think this actually is a nice little example for people of this time of year, like in other words, post combine, because of course Vingan is listening to our last segment and immediately found the column I wrote, including John Ross.
Oh boy.
However, I must say I was a little bit wrong. As I'll get to here, but anyway, this is a column from me from the Tennessean, March 5th, 2017. So basically, exactly 9 years ago for the Tennessean, it said, and the column headline is Rexrode cooking up a sharp receiving core for the Titans. So let's see. We go. First of all, there's a lot of talk back then. It's just great to reminisce. There's a lot of talk back then about the Titans possibly trading a pick to New Orleans for Brandon Cooks, which I said that makes a lot of sense. Okay, first good point you made there. I mentioned John Ross ran a 4.22, a 4.22 in the 40, which broke Chris Johnson's record at the time. Do we have a new record yet? Is John Ross still the record holder at 4.22?
That's a good question.
The Mississippi State kid ran a 4.24, I think, the other day, right? I think that's right. So, but 4.22. I've got a quote from John Robinson. He said, quote, "We're trying to be good at football, not good at exercising," end quote. Which, by the way, I quoted him, and apparently I didn't realize at the time that he was just quoting what's his name, right? I mean, he's quoting Eastbound and Down. Yeah.
By the way, Xavier Worthy, 4.21, the current record holder of the 40-yard dash.
There you go. And he's a great player, as we all know. Xavier Worthy. So then we get into the big debate for people who don't remember is that John Ross, Mike Williams, and Corey Davis it was those three, right? Okay, so here's a great graph. Quote from me. Quote, "Forced to rank them, I would go Davis, Ross, and Williams in terms of likely Titans interests." I was right there. Okay, continuing. Quote, "I think Davis has everything this offense needs in a receiver, but Ross is intriguing, was impressive in media interviews, and would be a much-needed asset in the return game." Yeah, that all came true. There's something else in here that's just really, really incredibly stupid. Oh yeah, like there's some. There's some certainty in the idea of a receiving core next year featuring Brandon Cooks, Rashard Matthews, and Tajay Sharp. Can you imagine? But here we go. Let's cap it off. Quote, "If I were Robinson, There's a lot of talk in this. They want to trade down. The Titans were talking heavily about trading down out of 5. They wanted to trade out of 5. They never got a trade out of 5, but they wanted to. They were like almost begging for it at the combine. Okay. Malarkey and Robinson, the good old days. Quote, if I were Robinson and I still had number 5 and a downfield need on that night, I'm not sure I could resist grabbing freakish Alabama tight end O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
He's a sure thing, right? And quote, drop Mike. Just a great example. And this is just one. This is not even like, I promise you, there are way more egregious things I've written trying to project college football players and NFL football players, including like Tua is going to be an all-time great, whatever, on and on and on. Just another little example of it's fun. We're going to never stop talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it. We're all going to look stupid so many times.
O.J. Howard, Super Bowl champion, by the way.
Another Super Bowl champion. John Ross and O.J. Howard, they have rings. 9 years later, they have rings. What else do you want, buddy?
If you'd have told them that when you drafted them, they'd say, yep, all right, sounds good. Sign me up.
Texter says, why would they start school at 8:39? Oddly specific. I was saying 8:30 or 9 o'clock, but good one.
I need 8:39. If you're not in here by 8:39, don't even bother showing up.
8:38, a little bit too early. 8:39, yes. Sounds about right.
I'll be honest with you. I was Googling some things, Joe, about I was trying to see if you had any spicy Traylon Burks takes at the Athletic after being drafted.
No.
And it
wow.
just the only thing that really comes up here is just how mad you were when they traded A.J. Brown, because you did this thing with Bumgardner and Brugler, and you're just kind of going over the A.J. Brown trade. And one thing you talked about here was, the analysis here, the biggest question here for Traylon Burks is, why'd you make this trade at all? I mean, A.J. Brown, you just traded A.J. Brown, and then you made this pick unnecessary. So if he's not starting in camp, something went horribly wrong.
Yeah. For all the dumb things I've written, I will say that my utter evisceration of the Titans for trading A.J. Brown was pretty much dead on.
That may have been the maddest you've been on the show for like a consecutive period of time. 3 hours straight of just pure fury from Rexrode.
Complete bitch. And I was just insane. I mean, Vrabel's sitting there like, oh, I'm not mad. No, we're fine.
Like we have video footage of you walking out of the room mad. Oh, okay, whatever.
That was Kaharski.
Yeah.
Kaharski said something. Well, thanks for telling me how I feel, Paul. Yeah, well, we all saw it, dude.
By the way, just an opportunity this offseason for that to come full circle. A.J. Brown. A lot of people believe he's getting traded.
Right behind you, we got our buddy, friend of the show, good old
Mike T.
Yeah, Mike T. Talking about
Mike Train Station Tannenbaum back there.
43 million dead cap if they trade him, huh? Okay. 72 if they cut him. They're not going to cut him. And there's just no way they're going to cut him.
No.
It feels like there's a little bit too much smoke around that one to not think something might happen.
He must really be rubbing them the wrong way there. Like, because it's pretty easy to look at their roster and be like, yeah, I think you guys still probably need A.J. Brown out there, huh?
Well, especially because it's like it's not like Devontae Smith is. I feel like he's fading a little bit, you know? Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing is they both had basically the exact same year. Like, I don't remember the stats offhand. I will
basically
look them up.
just got to 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
right?
like they're both like it's almost identical the year that they had.
Yeah, but just in terms of talent, production, and all that, right now, I don't think anybody would take Devontae Smith over A.J. Brown, right?
No, I don't think so. But he could be on the move again.
A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs together with Vrabel.
That could be special.
That does sound kind of fun, doesn't it?
615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Cory Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Cory, good morning. How are you?
Robert, I'm delightful today. How are you?
I'm delightful as well, even more so now that we get the chance to talk to you. I am interested.
Yes, I understand that feeling.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you do. I am interested where you stand on the Jeremiah Love discourse, because we've gone through the laundry list of needs that the Titans have, and you can darn near put every position on that list. You have Jeremiah Love. He ran a 4.36 40 at the combine. I mean, he's universally viewed as the best running back in the draft. Some people think he's the best player in the draft. So that opportunity at number 4, assuming he's there, and I think he will be, how much consideration with Cory Curtis is running the Titans would you be giving that if you are the Titans at number 4?
Well, I think it matters, how you grade him. If you do think he is the best player in the draft, and I've heard some people report that that's what the Titans think. Is that true? I don't know or not. Then you have to give it strong consideration. Now, Joe first brought this up, like, what was it, a month ago, talking about taking a running back?
Yep.
And, I quite often am of the book that a running back is a luxury in the first round, but I do agree with what Mike Borgonzi said, and that is if it's a true 3-down game-changing player like, Jahmyr Gibbs right now, then, it's definitely worth considering. And I think it would have been difficult to consider. I was listening to you earlier, and I agree. I don't think the Jermaine Johnson trade necessarily takes the Titans off of taking an edge in the first round. They certainly have more need there, but I do think it gives them the flexibility where they could go Jeremiah Love in the first and an edge in the second, if that's what they choose to do, because there will probably be someone there, whether it be a Young or a Parker or someone along those lines. There will be someone there if that's what they in fact want to do. I mean, I think I saw a little drool coming from the edge of Borgo's mouth when he was talking about Jeremiah Johnson, and he is a great player. There is no doubt about it. If you didn't have to go to the combine to see that. He's a great player. But you go to the combine and that's one where it just confirms what you kind of knew. And so what I like is, the Commanders, everybody thinks they want an edge. Do they want to trade up to 4 to get Bailey or Reese, whoever's left there, and you can get Love at 7 and more picks? That's what I would really, really be interested in.
Yeah, so Matthew Berry, the one who tweeted that he heard the Titans.
Yes,
and then Jim Wyatt with has a what's the headline, Robby? It's like would the Titans
fall in love with Jeremiah Love?
Fall in love with Jeremiah Love? It's not just wordplay. So when you see things like this, because we see it every year at draft time.
Yeah.
We had a conversation earlier, misinformation. We know there's a lot of it. There's also sometimes things that actually turn out to be true. So if you're the Titans, as you see these things, how do you digest that? Do you find it to be more or less likely that they're truly interested in him when things like this trickle out in media?
I think you're right to be skeptical because we've heard all along that they want more picks. So maybe they are trying to drive a trade. Maybe they are trying to drive, people off of it. But I don't need to listen to that to think that the guy is possibly the best player in the draft is a consideration. I mean, they did meet with him. So it's not just talk. They've met with him. They've talked with him. And everybody can see the talent. So, I don't know that it makes me feel any more likely that they will. but just after being at the combine and after seeing it and then talking to everybody and talking to how good they think Jeremiah Love is, not just the Titans, but everyone, it became a more real possibility for me. And that was just more the overall evaluation.
So, Cory, are you scared of Ruben Bain's arm length? Apparently, there's some people that just want to move to the 5th round now. You scared of Ruben Bain's arm length?
I mean, this is why the Rams don't come to the combine, right? Because they want to just judge what they see on film. But, you can't get away. Robby, what's your shirt size?
XL, baby.
No, I mean, if you wear a dress shirt, what's your dress size?
I have no idea. You'd have to ask my wife that question.
Okay.
I don't buy
Joe,
my stuff.
you know your shirt size?
Wait, like you mean like the neck or whatever, 33 or whatever? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, what's your sleeve length?
I do know that. I'm 42.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is it like jacket 42 long typically?
Okay. When you buy a shirt, all right, my shirt is 16.5, 34, 35. Okay.
Wow, you've short
buy
arms.
a dress shirt.
It's like a play call.
All right. That's how they're marked. Neck size, arm length.
Good to know.
All right. Good God. I didn't know I was talking to 2 college students.
Hey, man.
I'm wearing sweatpants, dude.
Yeah,
Come on, leave me alone.
I hadn't bought a shirt for myself in years.
So what have you've decided I can't possibly attract a woman? I'm just going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once you're married, what are you trying to do? You're trying to impress. Who are you trying to impress out there, Cory? I guess you are going on TV.
He's on TV all the time.
George on Seinfeld. No, and so like I wear a 34, 35. Okay. And so when I think about how much longer my arms are than Ruben Bain's, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's Godzilla.
Just like playing with his food. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can he reach his mouth to eat? Look, I love Ruben Bain. I love watching him on tape. I love that he shows up to the podium and he doesn't have a fancy haircut and he's not all blinged out. He's just there to play football. So
he's not wearing any of your fancy dress shirts, is he? No,
he's not.
He's a
Bet he didn't know his shirt size either.
Ball player.
I'm sorry. I wear shirts and in fact I have shirts that fit. But I love Ruben Bain. It is concerning though. I mean, it is a part of the evaluation. Especially when you're picking at 4. If I'm picking at like 14 or 17, I'm not nearly as concerned as I am about picking at 4 because I have so many high options there as well. I mean, David Bailey is really impressive. I mean, not only did he graduate Stanford in 3 years, but just when you see him physically, you're like, this is impressive. And then you see him perform at the combine and you're like, this is really, really impressive. And so, I think from that part of the evaluation, it does stick with me. And like, if you just said he had short arms, I don't know if it would be a big deal. When you combine it with the fact that nobody with arms that short has ever had 10 sacks in an NFL season.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're asking yourself, is he an outlier? Is he somehow so different from everybody else? Now, listen, I think if they draft Remain, he's going to be a good, productive NFL player. Because I just think that's what he is. But is he a star? Because at 4, you want a star. And is David Bailey a star? Is Arvell Reese a star? Jeremiah Love a star? I think that's what you're looking at. And I think that's the concern is, does that affect the ceiling, as opposed to these other guys?
So we were talking earlier, Cory, Carnell Tate ran a 4.53, which apparently people thought was a big deal. And then apparently then he got retimed and he ran a 4.45.
Well, there's a discrepancy in the times. The official time's a 4.53, but some scouts had him at 4.45.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought he ran again or something.
No.
Okay.
No.
So my question for you is, will you punch me in the face, please? So I don't ever have to discuss something like a 4.53 to a 4.45 40. Do you care?
Well, like he's going to run again at Ohio State's Pro Day. I guarantee you that, because he's going to want to do better, right? And so, I think basically, you put him he's like a 4.5 guy. Put him between 4.45 and 4.53. That's where he is. That is not painfully slow. It's just not fast, right? I mean, even at 4.45, he is fast, but not elite.
But at his size, that's probably I guess that's what I would have expected, right? Like right in that range.
I mean, what was Jerry Rice's 40 time?
4.7, I think.
Was it really?
It could be 4. It was at least 4.6. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 4.6. He did okay. He managed. And again, you're picking up in the top 10. You're splitting hairs on some of the stuff, and it is a consideration. I don't. If I'm an NFL scout and I was interested in Carnell Tate before, I'm interested now. I'm going to want to go to his pro day at Ohio State. I'm going to want to see him run again. I'm going to want to see how he performs there. But more than anything, you want to see how fast he is with his pads on. Because you guys brought up Xavier Worthy, who's a talented football player and beat Chris Johnson's record. Who was more effective with their speed in the NFL, Chris Johnson or Xavier Worthy?
Chris Johnson by far.
And it's not even close. Playing at that speed, Chris Johnson is one of the best players I've ever seen. He ran away from more people than anybody I can ever remember. And again, Xavier Worthy is talented, but there's your speed on the track, and then there's the speed with which you play on the field, and those are two different things. And that doesn't mean one isn't important, but there is a relativity to it. So yes, it's worth looking at. No, I don't. Maybe it drops him to 12 instead of 9 or something. Who knows? But we'll see what he does at his pro day at Ohio State. Because if he goes there and runs a 4.44, then that's all anybody talks about.
All right, Cory, last thing for you here. It is trade deadline week in the National Hockey League. The Predators are 3 points out of a playoff spot. They got a pretty big game today against Detroit. They got Columbus tomorrow. They're playing again Thursday. I think it's to appease the European crowd in the aftermath of the Olympics. They have a primetime game in Europe. I think that's why. So,
all right,
I believe it's a one-time thing, but we'll see what happens.
We like matinee hockey. Whatever.
If you're Barry Trotz and the Predators decision makers here, what do you expect? What do you want to see by the time the deadline rolls around here?
Well, I want to see my team play complete games, and judge what they're going to do the last 25. When you look at the last 10 games, they have 12 points. They have 4 overtime losses. So, I mean, they have 4 wins and 4 ties pushed overtime. So they've been at least tied in 8 of their last 10, which is great. But they've also left 4 points on the table. If they had those 4 points right now, they'd be in the playoffs. If they just had 2 of them, they'd be a point out of the playoffs. And so, the opportunity, for this team is there. Stamkos, it's great to see that they've come back from this 3-week break, and Stamkos has 2 goals in 2 games.
Yep.
Because you worry, what are you going to be when you get back? And by the way, going to Dallas, I said if they can get a point, it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
That changes a little bit when you blow a 2-0 lead. That changes the opinion of that changes a little bit. But the 3 points in the first 2 games is a good start. Now these next 2 games with Detroit and Columbus, if you can pull out 3 more points, you got to get at least 2, but 3 or 4 is ideal. Because if you're still sitting there at 4 to 5 points out when this week ends, I think that's when you start seeing Cole Smith and Michael McCarron and those guys, their names get mentioned on the trade deadline, because they have a very short time to make a push. Now, Thursday was a really good day because I think the Kraken, the Kings, and
Sharks all lost. Yeah,
Sharks all lost in regulation. So that was a 4-point day for them. And they could use another one. But like I said, these are 2 big ones. If they get 4 points, they may ride it out. We'll see.
Hey, but real quick before you go, CM Davis 84 on YouTube. Is that Corey Davis? Corey Davis in our chat now? He says, dress shirt sleeve length isn't arm length. It's measured from the center of your back to your wrist.
Okay.
I was going to say, if your arms are like 4 or 5 inches longer than Ruben Baines, like
play edge rusher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, holy cow. Let's probably dunk without jumping.
Here's the problem. I don't think Ruben Bain owns a dress shirt.
He may not. He didn't care.
You know what?
I'd still draft him. I'll still draft him.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. So that would make my arms like Ruben Bain size then?
Probably, which is probably fine for a normal person.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Not going up against offensive tackles. You're probably in
So
good
I
shape.
would like to be referred to as Godzilla from now on.
All right.
There you go.
We can do that. I'm going to go learn all my dress shirt sizes when I get home later today.
Yeah.
Be nice to know what I
appreciate
have.
that
Homework
information.
assignment for all of us.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So it comes from the center of the back?
That's
what
what
our YouTube
that's what
commenter says.
Corey Davis, who must have heard us talking about him earlier, says in the YouTube chat.
You know, my neighbor works over at the men's store at the mall. I should go ask him. He know all that stuff.
Yeah, let's reconvene in a week and we will have this all sorted
Need a
out.
breakdown.
Regardless, my point stands. His arms are short, and it's part of the evaluation.
Corey,
True.
Have a wonderful day. We will talk to you next Monday.
Robert, it has been a delight, and I enjoy it. But by the way, because I always have to say something before we go, what I see that Malik Willis is going to get like $35 million a year,
Apparently.
and I'm really, really happy for him. How much of a gamble do you guys think that is?
Pretty large, man. It's a pretty large gamble. Man, I guess if you're like Miami, you're not going anywhere the next couple years anyway, so it's worth
Do
taking
you
a
think
shot.
it's like Scott Mitchell and the guy Lynn? What's his name from the Packers?
Matt Flynn.
Seattle?
Yeah.
Matt Flynn. Yeah. You think
Similar,
it's like that,
yeah.
or do you think? I mean, or do you think he's more proven? I mean, he
Mitchell's
really played
a
that many games.
Mitchell's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some good games
Yeah,
on
he was-
Reno's backup.
Better than Flynn.
Yeah.
He really
Yeah.
played well at times. He
Yeah.
could sling it, and he was also 6'5".
There is that.
Yep.
Malik can run, though.
So,
Best running quarterback in the league, according to all the scouts. We'll see.
yeah, he's a good kid.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate you.
Later.
Corey Curtis, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll react to what Corey had to say. We'll get into the Predators and the NHL trading deadline coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Appreciate Cory Curtis for being with us in the last segment. A lot of discussion about shirt size, neck size in the aftermath of that segment.
Yeah, mine definitely varies. I got some dress shirts that are like 16 and a half, and it's like that would be a tight squeeze at this point. But yeah, I didn't know that about the arm length, but apparently Ian has verified that arm length goes from center. That makes sense because I think now that I think about it, I think I'm like 34-ish or something like that. And there's no way I'm like, I mean, I do kind of I got length, you know. Great radio. Great radio. You know what I'm saying.
Hey, Robby, what's your shirt size? It's an XL, Cory. Why are you asking? What do you mean?
Boy. Yeah.
Take an extra large.
I think that was appropriate.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
What size shirt
That's
you
what
wear?
I thought.
I actually wear an
when
extra
people
large.
ask that question, to me, they're asking large, extra large. Yeah.
He was so disappointed in me, too. Sorry. I haven't bought my own shirt in a long time. Long time.
I just really hope that was Corey Davis in the YouTube chat there.
Hope so, too. Big game for the Predators today, taking on the Detroit Red Wings. 1 o'clock puck drop, pregame at noon here on 102.5 The Game. The NHL trading deadline is Friday. So 3 more games before the Predators have to make a decision when it comes to what they're going to do or not do at the NHL trading deadline. And the question we've thrown out there today, what do you want to see happen? What should happen with the Nashville Predators? They are 3 points out of a playoff spot, and we'll see if that changes today. They can get a win. I'm looking to see if teams directly in front of them play today. And it looks like the Kraken do play tonight against the Hurricanes. The Kings play. So could be a big day for the Nashville Predators. We'll see what happens on that front. Joe, as we kind of dive back into this discussion, what are your thoughts on the Preds as they sit here today, 3 points out of a playoff spot with the deadline coming up on Friday?
Well, good for them, hanging in there. Got a point at Dallas. Got the margin for error is slim. And obviously they're waiting along with the rest of us to see, what Barry Trotz is going to do, basically in his final act as GM. And said it earlier in the show. I'll say it again. I said it previously. I think if you can swing something significant, and Ryan O'Reilly being the most likely possibility, even if some people don't think that that's a serious consideration. I mean, Barry Trotz obviously needs to have the phone lines open. I would think that he would get some pretty serious offers this year. And if it's something that can really move you forward with another first rounder, with a prospect that could really make a difference for you, that is more valuable than having him here next year with another okay team and being a great leader and being a great example setter and all that stuff. It's just the value is in the talent and youthful talent. This team doesn't have enough of it. So I think that's got to be the mindset. And I just don't really care about nibbling around the edges. And if that's all you do, I'd rather see him just let them go and see if they make the playoffs. You're just not making some big difference for your franchise moving forward by trading Michael Bunting or Eric Halla, in my opinion.
Probably not. I mean, look, you could play you never know what those draft picks are going to turn into game. But I mean, that could also goes both ways. I mean,
right.
The draft picks could never play in the league. So there is that too. So, but I'm largely with you there. Like, I think the decision, I mean, the big one's going to be O'Reilly, right? Like, what are you doing with Ryan O'Reilly? The Stamkos part of this is interesting. He had some comments over the weekend that make me think he's not going anywhere, but we'll get into that coming up here in just a few minutes. But I think it boils down to O'Reilly. You got a maximum value O'Reilly right now. He's having a great year. He's got a friendly contract. You get him if you trade for him, not only this postseason, but another year after that. Like, there's a lot to like. And he plays center on the Ryan O'Reilly front right now. So, what's the appetite look like from his point of view, from the Predators' point of view, to actually consider making that deal? We'll continue the discussion on that. Take your thoughts on the Preds at 615-737-1025, our phone number. What should the Predators do this week with currently being 3 points out of a playoff spot and the NHL trading deadline coming up on Friday. We'll take your thoughts on that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. The deadline in the NHL coming up on Friday. Preds are 3 points out of a playoff spot as we sit here today. They're playing here in just a few hours against the Detroit Red Wings. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. So what should the Preds do when it comes to the trade deadline decisions coming up later this week? Mike in Lebanon says, I'm tired of the Preds sitting on talent in the minors. Current team is not winning a championship, so bring up the young guys. Let them finish the season. Also, it's vital that the new general manager is an outsider, not currently connected to the Preds. We'll see on that last part. I think it's probably going to go that way, but I don't know. We'll see on that last part. I mean, at this point, that last part isn't happening this week. I mean, you're not going to hire a general manager today and then have him make a trade deadline decision Friday. So Barry Trotz is going to be making the trade deadline decisions for the Predators coming up this week.
Hey, can you fill out this HR for? Hold on. I got to make a trade real quick. This is Barry's swan song. Is what's happening.
It is, and I'm interested to see the way he handles it. You know, on Steven Stamkos. So Pierre LeBrun put this out from The Athletic on Thursday about, the no movement clause that Stamkos has, and that he might consider certain destinations when it comes to moving that clause. And I think Minnesota, Dallas, Tampa Bay, and I think New Jersey were the teams on that list. Obviously you think Tampa, and it's like, well, duh. Yeah, that would be something that would be attractive. Now, Alex Doherty from the Tennessean caught up with Stamkos on Friday and basically asked him about that report. Stamkos said he had not talked to Barry Trotz about being traded at all to this point and indicated that there was zero chance he would be moving the no movement clause at this point. So it doesn't sound like Stamkos is going anywhere this week, and he's got total control over it. So if he doesn't want to, he's not going anywhere. So we'll see what happens on that front. The O'Reilly one is the interesting one here because O'Reilly doesn't have any trade protection. They have treated him as if he did. Is that still the case this year? If Ryan O'Reilly walks in your office this week when you're having some of these conversations and looks at Barry Trotz and says, hey, I really don't want to be traded. Like, I'd really like to stay here. Do you honor that if you're Barry Trotz? Because you can make the argument, and a lot of people we've heard from today have made the argument. The value on O'Reilly is never going to be higher than it is right now. There'll be a lot of interest. You can get a hefty return for him. And the best move for your organization right now is to make that move and make that trade. I can listen to that argument. I think I largely subscribe to that argument. And then the follow-up to that is, well, let's say you trade O'Reilly and you get a first-round pick, maybe a second-round pick in addition to it. You get a high-level prospect in addition to it. How quickly are those pieces ready to play? What does your team look like in the short term with not very much center depth right now? We talked about it earlier, Joe. In terms of the long-term outlook at center, there are guys that aren't here yet that may end up being really good. I have no idea. I mean, Brady Martin, you drafted him 5th overall. He ought to be a pretty good player for you. Igor Surin, I think they're happy with what they've seen in his development in the KHL to this point. But, this year was supposed to be a step forward type year for Svechkov, right? Like they basically left a spot open for him and he didn't do anything with it. And that doesn't mean that he's doomed to failure moving forward. But frankly, it was kind of a disaster from Svechkov this year, which is not good. That's not what you wanted to see. And you're talking about young centermen that are either here or they're in Milwaukee, and they don't have a whole lot of them right now. So in the short term, you're kind of up a creek on the center part until whenever that time is that Martin and Surin and all those guys are ready.
Right. So if you want to have a truly competitive team, again, this team right now, all credit due for fighting and getting the position to try to sneak into the playoffs. But if you want a competitive team in the near future, that means you're going to have to sign or trade for someone down the middle, right? Like you're going to have to add to that position to really move the needle at all on what this team can be.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? It's doubtful.
It's doubtful. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's doubtful.
So, I mean, so you're entering, Ryan O'Reilly has held things together, an incredible season for him. Again, all credit to him too, but it's the same issue. And it speaks to a team that could be pretty freaking bad, right?
Yeah.
In the near term.
Could be. Yeah. But the flip side of that is how much better are they going to be than they are right now in the short term, right? Like let's say you either you hold on to all these guys or you hold on to most of them and you nibble around the edges. Well, what does that mean for next year? Are you a Stanley Cup contender next year? It's hard for me to see that right now. And, not knowing what sort of moves they could make in the offseason and what could open up there. But they're not on some clear trajectory right now where they're a year or two away from competing for a championship. So, I would think at some point that's also got to factor into your decision making if you're the Predators of how to, whatever it takes to get there quicker. How do you do that? And I think there's an opportunity. O'Reilly is a trade piece based on the position he plays, the production that he's put on display this year, the pedigree that comes with him, and the contract that he has. All four of those things. I mean, they just haven't had an opportunity to get the type of return that I think they could get for him very often, or they haven't been in position to get the return that they could get for him very often in their career. When you're competing for a division like you were in 17, 18, 19, you're not making any of those type of moves. You're adding. To their credit, they've been in the playoff mix for the majority of their history. I just think this is an opportunity here that they've not really had very much of before, and it's going to require a hard decision. And sometimes I think you got to make hard decisions. I would be looking to move Ryan O'Reilly if I were in charge. I would be looking to move Ryan O'Reilly and capitalizing on that. My gut tells me, and again, I'm not reporting anything. This is just my read of it. My gut tells me that Friday is going to come and go, and Ryan O'Reilly is still going to be a member of the Nashville Predators.
So I would probably agree with you. We've had Alex Doherty on, and he seemed pretty, I don't know if he was adamant, but he seemed pretty resolved that he didn't believe that they would trade him. So my question is how many Preds fans think the value of Ryan O'Reilly being here at least through next year, like you said earlier, I mean, they could extend him too, but being here at this point, moving forward, being obviously an excellent player, but also a guy who sets the standards for work ethic, all that stuff. The value of that with what they're looking at in the next couple of years versus getting a first rounder and getting a really good centerman prospect. How do you weigh those things? I don't think it's close.
I don't really think it is either. And the other part of this is, what I talked about earlier. He's 35, okay? And to his credit, I mean, he's had a heck of a year. I mean, he's going to end up, if he keeps up at this pace, around a point per game. So at his age, doing what he's doing, it's awesome. And it kind of shows you what he's all about and kind of the work ethic that he has, and good for him. I've never met anybody that has anything bad to say about Ryan O'Reilly. So I think we all understand that.
Yep.
But you also have to, I think if you're the decision makers here, you look and you say, all right, well, how likely is this to happen again where he has this type of year offensively next year? Probably not very likely. As you get into age 36, 38, how likely is that to continue? And like you said, he's got another year on his deal after this. You could keep him and then extend him come July 1st. I mean, it wouldn't be a long extension or anything like that, but
a couple of years
that could happen. And maybe their plan is that. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be. I do know this. If they make him available and they seriously entertain and field calls this week on Ryan O'Reilly, the interest level will be off the charts around the league.
Yeah.
There will be high interest.
Yeah. So someone may make an offer you can't refuse. You have to be willing to not refuse. You can't be resolved to refuse. That is malpractice. Yeah, the Mike comment, tired of the Preds sitting on talent in the minors. I think you should be more tired of the talent that comes up from the minors not being good enough. That's really been more of the thing, right?
Right. Well, and we'll see on some of these young guys. I mean,
sure. You always hope that changes, but
right.
in recent years, people screaming about whoever, Tomasino, Tolvin, it's okay, well, the problem is that they weren't as good as they hoped.
Right.
We do know Ryan O'Reilly has elite talent in music.
Yes.
And elite taste in music.
Yes.
Yes, he does. So
Yeah.
that would be right there would be a reason to keep him
I think Ian's
on the
got a
roster.
jersey on the way.
My Morning Jacket. What else did he say? He's a Pearl Jam guy too.
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
I believe that's what you sent us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, all due respect to that. And you were
Ian's
playing
gonna
his
get
song earlier, the pizza party
mac
song.
and cheese. It's good stuff.
Yeah, they get jamming out for the kids. I like it.
It's good. Let's head to our phone line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Scott in Hendersonville to the program. Scott, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yep, I have a little bit different perspective on this than most, I guess. But something that Joe said that I don't really see it that way. He said, if you keep them, then you're looking at being kind of an okay team next year. And this is not really an okay team. This is the team. When we signed Shea and Marchessault and Stamkos 2 years ago, we thought this was going to be a 100-plus point team that was going to contend for the Central and not necessarily the Stanley Cup favorite. We thought it would be a good team, and it wasn't. It was a bad team for a year, and it was a bad team for the first 6 weeks this year. And then something happened around Thanksgiving, and since Thanksgiving, this is not a here. Since Thanksgiving, they have played at that level. They have played at that 100-plus point a year level. And if they had played at that level all year long, if they hadn't gotten off to the bad start, we would be comfortably in wild card one and chasing, Minnesota and Dallas. We'd be right there behind them. So it's a little bit better than an okay team when you look at it that way. They've lived up to the potential. And what happened? Stamkos started going to the front of the net. He's not sitting. He spent a year and something sitting behind the dot, waiting on a pass to shoot a one-timer. And all of a sudden, Luke, talking about young players that finally blossom, Luke Evangelista, he's turned into an assist machine. And you got Yossi healthy. And there's all these things that happened, and it all came together. And if you trade O'Reilly, you're not only giving up on this year and next year, you're probably giving up on several years. And that's why I think, the return would have to be massive. And first round, if you're trading to a contender, that first round pick is not going to be a sure thing because it's going to be at the bottom of the first round.
It would be more about what's the prospect you're getting back would be.
Exactly. Because if you're trading on O'Reilly, you're now got Holla and McCarron as your, top six centers. And they're great bottom six centers, but they're not top six. And you're not getting a top six center coming through the door for next year. It's just not, they don't go on the market, and you're not going to spend what it would take to trade for one. So you're going to be bad for a few years. And by doing that, you are wasting the rest of Yossi and Forsberg's careers at Stamkos.
That's true.
So there's kind of a chain reaction of things that happen if you do trade O'Reilly. And, I say run it back. There's one guy you could tinker with, and I don't think it would affect our playoff chances. That's Marchessault.
Yeah,
we've been able to win without him, and there is a market for him because he's been productive in the past. He's got that name and that reputation.
Scott, we got to run. I appreciate the call, man. Yeah. We got to run real quick. Yeah, the Marchessault part of this is going to be interesting because I do think, to his point, he's the guy that I think they'll listen on regardless of how this week goes. Whether they win all 3 games, they lose all 3 games. I think everybody kind of recognizes that the Marchessault thing is it's not fit right here.
Yeah.
So I think they'll listen on that this week. Interested to see what the interest level looks like in him.
What are we trying to play again? What were we going to play?
Oh yeah, your rap.
Yeah, you got to bust it out.
I found
man.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to play it now. I don't want to hear it now. Please no. When he's like, well, I kind of disagree on, okay team. I did not anticipate he actually thinks they could be better.
Well, I hear everything he's saying there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good.
The bottom line is right now they're not in the playoffs, so you can't just operate as if they are when they're not. So that part of it's going to be really interesting. A lot more thoughts to get to in response to that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Joe, a couple of quick things here in response to Scott there. The Predators went through a stretch from, as he pointed out, kind of right around Thanksgiving to the new year, where they did really well. I mean, they were rolling off wins. They got themselves back into the race. And they've been fine since then. Since January the 1st, I believe them by my quick math, I think they're 9-7-4. I mean, so technically, they've lost more than they've won since January 1st. Now, they've got some overtime points in there, but they've been okay since January the 1st.
2 months.
They're 9-7-4 in that time. So, again, credit to them. I mean, it looked like they were going to be awful all year long. Like, it looked like it was going to be as bad or worse than last year.
Then they went on a tear. And then they've settled
and they've played better than they were to start the year, certainly. But, I mean, they've been about a 500 team since January the 1st. So, like, I think we may have overstated a little bit, like how good they are in this run that they've been on. They got really hot for about a month and a half, and they have been keeping themselves alive in the race since then.
Yep. So to me, if you can make a big sale, make a big sale. Absolutely do it, O'Reilly. Absolutely do it if you get a great deal. If you're going to nibble around the edges, just roll and try to make the playoffs. That's my thing. I have a quick medical update for all of us.
Okay.
I don't know if it's medical. Quick arm length update from my friend Chip. Arms are actually measured from the acromion process, the bony thing at the top of your shoulder, to the tip of the middle finger.
Sciatica.
Just saying. This is the latest. I mean, I this sounds way too scientific and specific to be wrong. So,
measuring
cheek size. Thank you for not playing the other drop that I certainly provided for you today.
Oh, I'm sure that one will resurface at some point.
Oh, I have a feeling we'll hear that one again.
Maybe frequently coming up here in the rants.
Super.
That's going to do it for us today. We got some afternoon hockey today. Predators, Red Wings at 1 o'clock, pregame at noon here on 102.5 The Game. Looking forward to that. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow to break it all down. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.
Enjoy the hockey, Europe.